Unit 15. Term/termin geos for vert morph form doc/doct tut/tuidi/dup/bin number words. Term/termin comes from the Latin verb terminare, to limit, bound, or set limits to, and the noun terminus, limit or boundary. In English, those boundaries or limits tend to be final. A term goes on for a given amount of time and then ends, and to terminate a sentence or a meeting or a ballgame means to end it. Terminal: 1. Forming or relating to an end or limit. 2. Fatal. She knows she's in the late stages of a terminal illness, and has already drawn up a will. A terminal disease ends in death. If you're terminally bored, you're bored to death. For many students, a high school diploma is their terminal degree, others finish college before terminating their education. A bus or train terminal is the endpoint of the line. A computer terminal was originally the endpoint of a line connecting to a central computer. A terminal ornament may mark the end of a building, and terminal punctuation ends this sentence. Indeterminate, not precisely determined, vague. The police are looking for a tall white-bearded man of indeterminate age who should be considered armed and dangerous. When you determine something, you decide on what it is, which means you put limits or boundaries on its identity. So something indeterminate lacks identifying limits. A mutt is usually the product of indeterminate breeding, since at least the father's identity is generally a mystery. A painting of indeterminate origins is normally less valued than one with the painter's name on it. And if negotiations are left in an indeterminate state, nothing has been decided. Interminable, having or seeming to have no end, tiresomely drawn out. The preacher was making another of his interminable pleas for money, so she snapped off the TV. Nothing is literally endless, except maybe the universe and time itself, so interminable as we use it is always an exaggeration. On an unlucky day you might sit through an interminable meeting, have an interminable drive home in heavy traffic, and watch an interminable film, all in less than 24 hours. Terminus: 1. The end of a travel route, such as a rail or bus line, or the station at the end of a route. 2. An extreme point, tip. They've been tracking the terminus of the glacier for 20 years, in which time it has retreated 500 yards. This word comes straight from Latin. In the Roman Empire, a terminus was a boundary stone, and all boundary stones had a minor god associated with them, whose name was Terminus. Terminus was a kind of keeper of the peace, since wherever there was a terminus, there could be no arguments about where your property ended and your neighbor's property began. So Terminus even had his own festival, the Terminalia, when images of the god were draped with flower garlands. Today the word shows up in all kinds of places, including in the name of numerous hotels worldwide built near a city's railway terminus. Geo comes from the Greek word for earth. Geography is the science that deals with features of the Earth's surface. Geologists study rocks and soil to learn about the Earth's history and resources. Geometry was originally about measuring portions of the Earth's surface, probably originally in order to determine where the boundaries of Egyptians' farms lay after the annual flooding by the Nile River. Geocentric, having or relating to the Earth as the center. He claims that, if you aren't a scientist, your consciousness is mostly geocentric for your entire life. The idea that the Earth is the center of the universe and that the sun revolves around it is an ancient one, probably dating back to the earliest humans. Not until 1543 did the Polish astronomer Copernicus publish his calculations proving that the Earth actually revolves around the sun, thus replacing the geocentric model with a heliocentric model, from Helios, the Greek god of the sun. But geocentrism remains central to various religious sects around the world, and still today 1 in 5 adult Americans believes the sun revolves around the Earth. Geophysics, the science that deals with the physical processes and phenomena occurring especially in the Earth and in its vicinity. Located in the heart of oil and gas country, the university offers a degree in geophysics, and many of its graduates go straight to work for the oil and gas industry. Geophysics applies the principles of physics to the study of the Earth. It deals with such things as the movement of the Earth's crust and the temperatures of its interior. Another subject is the behavior of the still mysterious geomagnetic field. Some geophysicists seek out deposits of ores or petroleum, others specialize in earthquakes, still others study the water beneath the Earth's surface, where it collects and how it flows. Geostationary being or having an orbit such that a satellite remains in a fixed position above the Earth, especially having such an orbit above the equator. It was the science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke who first conceived of a set of geostationary satellites as a means of worldwide communication. We don't give much thought to geostationary satellites, but many of us rely on them daily. Anyone who watches satellite TV or listens to satellite radio is dependent on them. The weather photos you see on TV are taken from geostationary satellites, and military information gathering via satellite goes on quietly day after day. Though the satellites that provide GPS service for your car or cell phone actually aren't geostationary, since they orbit the Earth twice a day. By 2009, there were about 300 geostationary satellites in operation, all of them moving at an altitude of about 22,000 miles. Since they hover above the same spot on Earth, your receiving dish or antenna doesn't have to turn in order to track them.